These are 3 of Gumball's worst episodes. The third one being the BFFs with a rating of 6.7. This episode starts with Darwin opening the door to a Furby ripoff named Fuzzy. Darwin just straight up starts bullying Fuzzy, calling him creepier than a bald man with long hair, which I had to look up because that confused me, and it's pretty much this: bald on the top, long hair on the sides. If that was not enough of a diss, Darwin then says he's sorry Fuzzy looks the way he does. He obviously is not a fan of Fuzzy, but Fuzzy just ignores him and asks for Gumball, and turns out they used to be best buds back in the day. Darwin is not happy to hear this and gets extremely jealous, then starts angrily cooking Fuzzy pretty much, and dude's just chilling there for some reason, just letting him do this. Darwin then starts talking to Gumball like they are dating or something, asking if Fuzzy and him were serious and if there were others, and this is pretty much the entire episode. It's kind of like Gumball and Darwin are a married couple and Darwin's jealous of an old ex. Kinda odd, but I can understand the humor behind it. Gumball gets mad at Darwin for acting toxic though, and dips to chill with Fuzzy on the swing. Fuzzy pretty much just yaps a bunch and says how he misses Gumball and is glad he gets to catch up. Also, these guys knew each other as toddlers. Honestly, I can't even remember a single friend from when I was a toddler. I don't think I remember anything except for Dora and popsicles. Anyway, Gumball goes home and reassures Darwin that he loves him a lot, and they make up. And Gumball convinces him to hang out with Fuzzy, even though Darwin does not trust him. So they hang out, and it seems things are going good. They're laughing, having a good time, until Gumball leaves, and Darwin gets all up in his face.
Okay, what's your game, you furry creep muffin?
Then accuses Fuzzy of wanting to kidnap Gumball and lock him in a cabin. Now Darwin seems a little crazy here. There's no questioning that. Either homie's being a little racist because Fuzzy looks like a Furby, and that's probably one of the scariest toys, or he knows something, or he's just crazy. Either way, Fuzzy stays chill and thinks Darwin is just very controlling, and leaves telling Gumball he doesn't want to get in the way of their friendship, which makes Gumball mad, and so he confronts Darwin, but Darwin just doesn't give a darn. So Gumball goes to hang out with his Furby friend, and they are supposed to be going to Fuzzy's house, but they end up walking an insane hike and end up at a cabin in the middle of the forest. Now either Darwin was right somehow, or this is his house. Well, Darwin was absolutely right, because Furry recreated his old bedroom and is mad at Gumball for abandoning him, so he wants to literally roleplay being a kid with him to make up for lost time. Now even though this dude resembles a Furby, which is known for being a really terrifying toy, I could not have predicted this. I might be stupid, but this genuinely surprised me. Anyways, before they can start the role playing, Darwin knocks Fuzzy out with a shovel. Turns out he was so sure of his suspicions, he followed Gumball. Darwin may be a genius, I'm not gonna lie. Or is he a genius? Because they start arguing, and Darwin admits he was just jealous. And it turns out he was gonna murder Fuzzy and bury him in a hole. So I'm honestly not sure if Darwin is a genius, and I now think he might be a little crazy. Gumball and Darwin, instead of leaving before Fuzzy wakes up, just start love bombing each other, and Fuzzy wakes up and is now chasing them. Dude also looks like some Five Nights at Freddy's character now, and is much more scary. Because of the whack, he sounds more robotic, and his robot skin is showing, giving me flashbacks from Chica and Security Breach, and I do not like that. At least with Fuzzy though, I feel like you could just kick him because he's so small. Anyways, they end up getting cornered, and Darwin almost dies from Fuzzy, but Hank, Fuzzy's best friend, shows up and steals him, and Fuzzy begs for help. And that's the end of the episode. Now this episode is not awful. I like the plot twist, I enjoyed the Furby parody, and I feel it fits Furbies really well, since most people who had Furbies got rid of them, and if they were alive, they would probably want to play with you again for all of eternity. But besides that, it kind of felt repetitive in the beginning. It was just Darwin hating Fuzzy, Gumball being mad, Darwin not giving a darn, and that was pretty much on a loop, until Fuzzy took him to the cabin in the woods. They could have maybe had Gumball play for a minute with Fuzzy, just to scare us more that he was trapped, but instead, they didn't let that plot twist breathe enough, and Darwin kind of saved the day too fast. The running scene was pretty cool though, and had some pretty scary moments. This episode was decent, and honestly, I haven't watched the other 2 episodes yet, but I don't think any of them are going to be awful. Gumball is a pretty solid show, so either I'm going to be right or terribly wrong. We'll find out. The second one is The Promise with a rating of 6.6. So Gumball and Darwin need to find a place on the bus to sit together, but all the seats are being hogged. At first, I thought this was relatable, because as a kid, I could never find a place to sit on the bus, but then I realized Gumball and Darwin can't find a place because people kind of dislike them for being bullies, and I couldn't find a spot because I was a loser. But anyways, Gumball and Darwin end up sitting next to Banana Joe, not really giving him a choice, even though he has the most hate for them, which is extremely justified. And Gumball and Darwin even know this and list like 100 things they have done to him that are bad. And really quick, I want to take a moment of silence for Banana Joe. Thank you, he deserved that. This dude is probably the most tortured character in this show. I honestly have no idea how he is still alive. But even with that silence, we can't stop the torture coming his way in this episode. So Darwin feels bad for everything they've done to Joe, since usually Darwin just gets roped into bullying because of Gumball, and so he invites him to hang with them this weekend. But Gumball says no, because it's their special weekend. But Darwin whispers to Banana Joe that he'll work it out, and we see Joe smile. Then Gumball and Darwin go shopping for snacks. Gumball is upset with Darwin for potentially ruining their amazing, awesome gaming weekend. So he reminds him of how excited they were for this game. And I understand being excited for a game. I mean, when I saw the GTA 6 trailer, I was geeking. But you would never catch me twerking on my desk and licking my monitor. But in this scene, Darwin tells Gumball that when the game comes out, they're gonna play it together like crazy. So technically, while Darwin is trying to entice Banana Joe, which is respectable, he's breaking a promise to his best friend, and that is not okay. He's kind of in a pickle, but he could have waited till after the weekend to fix things with Banana Joe. But now he has 2 promises to 2 different people, and that's the main conflict of this episode, which I'm not gonna lie is pretty boring. For a fictional show that has dinosaurs and joy zombies, this is a very normal human conflict that I've personally gone through, but I guess it's relatable. Anyways, Darwin tries getting Gumball to care about Banana Joe in a very manipulating, weird, psychic way, but Gumball's selfishness is too powerful, and he wins over Darwin's ethical manipulation. Then we see Banana Joe, and now the show tries using its ethical manipulation on us, showing how lonely Banana Joe is, literally making jokes to inanimate objects. And then he gets self-aware of what he's doing, and buckle up, cause this scene will make you sob so incredibly hard.
I know you cried, me too.
Anyway, Darwin secretly tells Joe to meet him outside by the machine, so Gumball and Darwin get in line to wait for the game. And this part kind of made me sad. I was never old enough to experience waiting in line for games. I was just told of the awesome stories. All I get to experience is just buying the game on Steam or the PS Store. Very boring and sad. So Gumball starts beefing in the line with Space Invader Dude, giving Darwin the perfect distraction to go talk to Banana Joe. And my boy got Darwin a soda and tries so hard to open up and be vulnerable with Darwin, but he never gets to finish a sentence, cause Darwin just keeps scooting away. Even though this was Darwin's idea, he says that he can't talk right now. So Banana Joe, despite Darwin ignoring him and being rude and pouring his drink out, just asks if they can do him one favor, help him record his video tonight. And Darwin promises he won't let him down. Gumball and Darwin now finally get to experience the game they've been waiting for, which is called The Tale of Zelmore, which is a parody of Legend of Zelda. And not to be that guy, but I'm pretty positive The Legend of Zelda is not 2 players. Regardless of that, Darwin tries sneaking out to see Banana Joe, trying to do both, but Gumball knows exactly what he is doing, and put literal bricks outside the bathroom window, so Darwin just jumped out of a 2-story building onto bricks. Gumball and Darwin might have a toxic relationship, at least from these last 2 episodes, cause what? Darwin tries convincing Gumball to let Banana Joe play with them, and tries brainwashing Gumball, literally. This is kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty clever. We then see Banana Joe recording his video, and he decides to bench press, and he gets the bar off, but then it slams right on top of him. So Banana Joe tries showing us how to get out of this situation, and makes it so much worse. But he thinks that Darwin and Gumball will be there soon to save him, cause well, Darwin did promise him, but Gumball ends up convincing Darwin to stay home and play the game, after explaining what this weekend meant to him, and how he just wanted to spend time with his buddy. Then we watch Banana Joe get absolutely obliterated. Now I know we were supposed to feel bad for Banana Joe, but it's kind of hard to, because he put himself in this situation. I know he thought Darwin was going to come, but he didn't wait for him to spot. Not to mention, most people when benching alone don't do a weight they can't do. They usually either know their max or work their way up. So this was kind of Banana Joe's fault. Of course I feel bad for him, but not because of this whole scene. It just felt like they wanted to torture Banana Joe. I've covered a lot of worse episodes from cartoons, and one of the main things that usually stick out is unnecessary torture. It's just not as funny, and I don't think a lot of people are the biggest fan of this anymore. That was popular in silent films. Now this episode is pretty bland. It's nothing crazy. It's like I said earlier, a very normal ethical dilemma. The conflict was mid, the resolution was mid. When comparing it to other episodes, it's not as interesting. Besides all that, this episode was actually not awful. It was decently entertaining, had some funny moments, and kept me entertained till the end. But we have one more episode to determine if Gumball could create an awful, terrible episode. So let's see. Finally, the worst episode of Gumball is The Girlfriend with a rating of 5.2. This episode starts with Jamie just straight up terrorizing everyone in the cafeteria. One of these people being, of course, Banana Joe, getting his head chewed off. Then she makes Toast Homie cut himself and eat himself. This scene is pretty disturbing, and I'm pretty sure he is dead now. Jamie then steals Carmen's food, and Alan lets her have some of his, which confuses Jamie. Why would someone share something? So Alan tells her that maybe she would feel better if she found a sweetheart to share with, which makes her frozen. Pretty much when she has to think, her brain breaks. Now this episode's first impression is not great. It starts instantly with torture, but we gotta give it a chance. So once Jamie comes back to reality, she realizes she needs to find a sweetheart, and everyone literally runs away except Darwin, who did not hear her correctly. So now Darwin's gonna have to date Jamie, which is definitely not going to be a good thing. Gumball explains to Darwin how this is awful, but Darwin has probably the worst mindset ever in this situation. He believes saying absolutely nothing will be the best to handle this. That's obviously not true, and it's actually the worst way to deal with this. Jamie shows instantly how toxic she is by slamming Gumball into a locker and telling Darwin if he ever ignores her or breaks up with her, there will be serious consequences. Then it starts beating up the locker with Gumball in it because she gave Darwin a present, but the present was actually for her, and then it was perfume. So she got mad at Darwin for giving her the present, but it was actually her present. Yeah. She then steals Gumball's food, and Gumball asks her a question, so she freezes, and he confronts Darwin once again, explaining that he needs to confront her, but Darwin just says she doesn't understand love and needs to work it out herself. Darwin's mindset is extremely awful. He's allowing his best friend Gumball to get bullied just because he's scared of having a conversation with his toxic girlfriend, which I mean is a real thing, but it's crazy to show this in a kid's show, and this is actually a reason many people dislike this episode. It's showing very bad advice on what to do in a toxic relationship, as well as just showing a toxic relationship. Many people don't believe that kids should be aware of this. Anyways, we pretty much just watched Jamie bully Gumball some more, and then bully Sarah for just looking at Darwin. Then Richard comes to gym class to give Darwin and Gumball their gym dodging kit, and Gumball introduces Richard to Darwin's girlfriend. And then he does the most interesting, wildest emotes I've ever seen. Some of them got to be inappropriate. I'm not going to say which ones I think are inappropriate, or what I think they mean, so I'll let you form your own opinions. Richard ends up introducing himself to her and gets absolutely demolished. And Darwin still thinks he should stay quiet. Jamie does end up feeling bad about what she did though, and left a message for Darwin, which is literally people nailed on the wall forming the word sorry. I mean, it's definitely messed up, but it kind of opens up her character a little more and shows she has some sort of empathy. Jamie continues her toxicity and gets mad that she has to share Darwin with Gumball, so she makes Gumball her other boyfriend. And this freaks Gumball out, and he has a vision of his future with her, and it's pretty bad. It's just them being miserable and being controlled by Jamie. Gumball, unlike Darwin, is not going to stay quiet and just deal with it, so he runs away. And this scene really reminds me of The Joy. It's pretty terrifying. Jamie is chasing him through the hallways, acting absolutely insane. This episode so far has been kind of and has just been straight torture and repetition, but man, they nailed this whole sequence. The Gumball team knows how to do horror, because this whole scene felt like a horror movie, down to the music, the lighting, the dialogue, the animation of Jamie. It's simply a masterpiece. Gumball ends up getting cornered and asks her what she wants from him, and she freezes and actually realizes what love is supposed to be. She realizes you can't force love, and love has to be mutual, and that it's something you earn. Now this means throughout the entire episode, all Darwin had to do was literally speak up and ask her this question, and she would have realized. It's pretty obvious Jamie does not think at all and only thinks when she's asked a question. So Darwin's quiet game was literally the dumbest idea possible, and all of his torture was pointless and could have easily been avoided. Also, Darwin does realize this a little too late and comes to her after this and tells her what love is and gets whooped. This episode was not the greatest, I'm not gonna lie. It was extremely repetitive and was just straight slapstick humor. The entire episode revolved around Jamie torturing people, which, like I said, is one of the #1 flaws of most worst episodes. The ending is also just kind of silly. It makes the entire episode seem pointless. It's just not a fun episode, and not as enjoyable as Gumball usually is. Also, I don't exactly think this episode tried portraying the message of biting your tongue when dealing with toxic people. I mean, I can see why people would think that, but I think it was supposed to just give more room for Jamie to torture more people, and it was supposed to be funny. I just think it wasn't truthfully as funny as I thought it would be. Now, while this episode is not that good, I don't really think it's awful. It's just It's definitely watchable and not so bad I want to turn it off. It's just not as good as other Gumball episodes. That's simply it. Gumball is a masterpiece. And by the way, the series is coming back, which I am excited about.